Boston Celtics basketball is finally here. But not in the United States. They're actually playing in Abu Dhabi against the Denver Nuggets for the first NBA preseason game of the 2024-25 season. It feels so good. It feels like it's been super long, but also super short at the same time. For the Boston Celtics to play some basketball, going to see a lot of familiar faces, so I'm just ready to hop into it. So go on ahead and do one thing for me. Before we get into my breakdown of 4 players you guys need to watch in this game, go on ahead and hit that like button if you are extremely stoked for Boston Celtics basketball to be back, baby. The champs are here, and they're looking to repeat. All right, obviously the number one player that I myself am watching is Lonnie Walker IV. He has the most interesting subject line heading into preseason, the most interesting topic here, and that is the fact that he's Exhibit 10, which means he is going to give everything he's got to make this Boston Celtics roster. But who is Lonnie Walker? What's his game like, and what should we be watching, Allie? Well, I have 3 things that I will be watching from Lonnie Walker. Number 1, getting good reads to the rim. We know that Lonnie Walker is primarily on the Boston Celtics because of how great he is at three-point shooting. But the one thing that I love about Lonnie Walker is that he doesn't need to be that explosive guard like a Peyton Pritchard, right? Peyton Pritchard just scrambles to the rack. Lonnie Walker is the hezzy king, where he really reels in your defender and then takes him to the rack. I want to see how that'll translate in a Boston Celtics offense, knowing we have several offensive weapons, but also that three-point scoring ability. Obviously, we got to see that flat out. That needs to be on fire. And I could see him having a role similar to Drew Holiday's, where he just kind of lingers in the corner for an outlet pass. Holiday's been exceptional at that, and hopefully Lonnie Walker can too, but Lonnie Walker is going to be able to space the floor as well with his ball handling skills and how well he shoots, but then also finding his defensive identity, which brings me to my overall take of Lonnie Walker is that the offense isn't the problem. He's a bucket getter. That's why we love Lonnie Walker. But you have to realize the Boston Celtics have one of the best offensive groups in the NBA. Everybody's a bucket getter on the Boston Celtics. You're not going to play if you can't play defense. And Lonnie Walker, on a good day, about an average defender. You know, it's fine. Obviously, offense is his forte. But if you don't showcase your defense, you will not play. So I could see him really trying to protect the perimeter a lot more going up against the Denver Nuggets, maybe even taking on a player like Jamal Murray or somebody like that if he was to find himself down low. But overall, Lonnie Walker still being on an Exhibit 10, and, you know, they've got to figure out a lot other players' roles this upcoming season, so we don't exactly know the lineups per se for Game 1 and Game 2 in Abu Dhabi versus the Denver Nuggets. I would expect to see Lonnie Walker have more minutes in Game 2. Sometimes what happened last year is that Joe Mazzulla didn't play any of the starting 5 in one game, and then he started all the starting 5 in the next game. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but I would keep my eyes set on Game 2 for a big Lonnie Walker game. But let's check in on one of the starters, shall we? Because I know it's a preseason, but Jayson Tatum is looking like a new man coming off his Olympic team and heading into the new season. So what has Jayson Tatum done to get better in his 6th, 7th, 8th year in the NBA? Well, he has a new jumper, apparently, which I'm not going to say, you know, that was needed, but it was very much needed. Is he feeling a championship hangover? We know that he has a chip on his shoulder that has been disclosed with the fact that Jayson Tatum had 2 DNPs in the Olympic Games. That's fine. But he's also not satisfied. He says that he's hungry. Well, I want to see if that's true. And I think it'll show best in the preseason game. This is a game where you can really lollygag your ass off. But if you're really ready to do what you did last year, you'll come out and treat this like a regular season game because we got swept by the Nuggets last year in the regular season. But also, along with the new jumper, he did tweak his 3-ball. And I have mentioned in several other videos that, you know, he moved his hand placement and he got a little bit lower in his knees and his stance because he needed to. He shot 28% in the playoffs. And once again, there are so many offensive weapons on the Boston Celtics team that it didn't really matter if Tatum was shooting 28%. But I'm going to look at Tatum to be a leading scorer of this ball game, of this ball club this season. So I think it starts in the preseason of letting me know where he's at and how that new shot's flowing. Because when we did get to see Jayson Tatum in the Olympics, it really just confirmed that what I saw in the playoffs wasn't just playoff jitters. He really stunk when he did play in the Olympics. And I am not going to side with Steve Kerr about not playing the champ. That's not what I'm doing. But when you look at him versus France, Brazil, South Sudan, Puerto Rico, 1 for 3, 1 for 5, 50%, 4 for 9. The jumper wasn't there. And I'm glad that he said it didn't need fixing. It wasn't terrible because it did work. He led the Boston Celtics in rebounds, points, assists last season, but it could always be improved. And I'm glad that he can look at himself at 26 years old and say, hey, look, Kobe was never satisfied. Michael Jordan, never satisfied. And I'm glad Tatum isn't either. So I have a question here for you guys, and that's, are you excited for the new Jayson Tatum? Because I am very intrigued, and I honestly think it's just a very good asset to have for Tatum to put a little extra in his bag. He's got that chip on his shoulder, but now he really wanted to make sure that I'm going to come into this new season and make a splash. So if you guys feel the same way, go on ahead and hit that like button for me. Number 3, obviously, one of 2 rookies on the team, Baylor Scheierman. Baylor Scheierman looks like he walked straight out of the town. I'm talking about the Ben Affleck, Jeremy Renner town movie that Joe Mazzulla loves so much. If you guys are planning to watch preseason game, here is what I would watch from Baylor Scheierman. He gained 20 pounds in the offseason. That's what I mean about the town. This man looks like he is ready to rob a bank with all that muscle he's got in there. But he's also been improving his defense, so-called, throughout the entire summer. We knew that when he was drafted, he is a very scrappy player, which I do like for him, but he's also a very good three-point shooter. And if the Boston Celtics are trying to develop him into a Sam Hauser-esque player, he's got the three-point shooting down. But can he lock up Luka Doncic in the finals the same way Sam Hauser did? That's still up for debate. He has a few things he needs to tweak on his defense, which is going to be critical from summer league to preseason. And then I want to see his strong three-point shooting and his court vision. The number one thing that I loved watching about Baylor Scheierman was the no-look passes in summer league. Whether it was cutting down low, whether he was dribbling at the top of the three-point line, he had the ability to just dish it wherever. And I do think that can come in hand with as many offensive weapons as the Boston Celtics have on their roster. I mean, look at the kid. He is ready to take on the bigger guys in the NBA. And that's what he said. He was like, look, I know I'm coming into a league where everybody's bigger than me, which is crazy because he's over a 6-foot player. He added 20 pounds of muscle, shaved his head, got a little gold chain to match with it. Welcome to Boston, Baylor Scheierman. You fit right in. But I do want to bring it back to the three-point shooting because when I think of great three-point shooters for the Celtics, I'm thinking Sam Hauser in this team. And when you're working with Sam Hauser, you're going to develop different tendencies like on defense, like in ball handling, like in court vision. And Sam Hauser had nothing but great things to say about his prodigy in Baylor Scheierman and what he could possibly be able to do, not just in the preseason, but also walking into the regular season game as well. I do think that Sam Hauser saying that he's a good shooter, but he has a lot more than a shooter. That makes me believe that the improvised defense is going to come. He's got a good feel for the game. He's pretty crafty. The best thing I can do is try to help him in this first year and help him with any opportunities he gets on the floor, or if he gets opportunities in Maine, whatever it may be for him. Because, obviously, with Baylor Scheierman being a rookie, he could always possibly play for Maine, even though he is on this roster right now. But I'm going to break down the last player you guys need to watch in this preseason game in just a moment, because I got to make sure you guys are dripped out in the best gear. Go on ahead, tag it along with your gold chain there like Baylor Scheierman, and get your NBA Finals Championship gear. It is 65% off right now by using this code, chatsports.com/CelticsChamps24. Look, man, when you're in TD Garden and everybody around you's got something that's got 24 on it with a ring, you're going to feel left out, and I want to help you. $12. That's all it is. Go on ahead, get yourself one, get your girl one. I know I would appreciate this if my boyfriend got it for me. So chatsports.com/CelticsChamps24. If my boyfriend is watching, I do want this. Use that link to get 65% off. All right, number 4, obviously, Big Nemi is who you need to watch. Why? Because Neemias Queta is going to have a bigger role than he did last season, as he should. Yes, Kristaps Porzingis is out with an injury. That is one of the factors to getting him on the court a little bit more. But the things that I want to watch here from Neemias Queta that you guys know, since last year when I took over this channel, I have been a Nemi stan. I have loved everything that this kid brings to the table. Does that mean he can tweak some things? Absolutely. Number one, I want to see his court vision and just the feel for the game get better, because when Neemias Queta does come in, the man is a tractor. He fouls everybody. And that just can't happen, especially when they're not playing Al Horford on a game. When Kristaps Porzingis is out and it's just you and Luke Kornet, you can't get in foul trouble. And I also want him to be recognizing his matchups, knowing that he's going to have a bigger role on this team. The last thing we need is him getting beat, which did happen several times just because he kind of looked a little bit lost. These two topics kind of go hand in hand. And then lastly, he's just a glass cleaning monster, and that just needs to continue, because when you do look at the Celtics center depth, you take out Porzingis because he won't be there for the preseason or for the first 3 months of the year. But then you've got Al Horford, the 38-year-old Dominican father of 5, where you're kind of like, okay, he can play great still, but he can't really play back-to-backs. Then you've got Luke Kornet in that center depth that really you want to put more faith in Luke, and I do have a lot more faith in Luke Kornet, but sometimes there are times where I'm like, Luke, it's just you're getting beat, bud. Kind of the same way I feel about Xavier Tillman and Neemias Queta, so they'll also have a few things to prove here. But with Neemias Queta, I think overall having that bigger role is going to allow him to gain these things and develop these things, especially in the preseason, because I could see him getting a lot of minutes in this ball game as well. If not game 1, definitely game 2. And there's also 3 more preseason games after that, which is why I think Neemias Queta is going to have a bigger role, a larger role, next to Al Horford, Luke Kornet, and others in this center depth chart. But I have a question here for you guys, real quick. Which player are you most excited to watch in the preseason? I think my number one guy is just going to be Baylor Scheierman. Obviously, being a rookie, we really haven't seen anything from him except for in college. And we got to see him in Summer League, but he was also not competing with the Boston Celtics 15-man roster. So I'm going to be looking at Baylor Scheierman. Let me know who you guys are ready to watch in the comment section down below. And as always, hit that sub button on Celtics Today by Chat Sports.